Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to see you. So, today we are going to learn about something called typography. Now, sounds like a fancy word, but I think you know more than you realize about this word. All right, so let's get started. Before we get into today's lesson, we're going to do a quick activity. So I've already put you into groups of 4. You have group members, so you don't have to do this by yourself. And I want you to brainstorm. And I'm giving you some chart paper, so I want you to brainstorm and I want you to come up with what you think the word typography means, okay? So after you've had an opportunity to jot down some thoughts, brainstorm some ideas, I want you to designate one person who will serve as the speaker for the group, okay? And that person is going to share your team's ideas with the rest of the class, all right? So you're going to have 3 minutes in order to do this activity. Are there any questions? All right. On your mark, get set, and go. All right. So now that we've had an opportunity for you to brainstorm and share some ideas with the rest of the class, let's take a look and see what we are actually going to learn today. So our learning target for today is I can identify various types of typography. There's that word again. All right. So I want you to take a look at my screen and I want you to tell me, do you recognize any of these images? Because what we know is typography is all around us. We find it on signs. We find it on boxes of cereal. We even find it at our favorite French fry restaurant. All right. So do you recognize any of these images? I know you probably eat Frosted Flakes. What about McDonald's? Okay. And I bet you like donuts. All right. Now, let's practice first because in order to learn about the word, we have to be able to say it correctly. All right, so repeat after me. Ty, pog, ra, fee. Now you say it. Very good. And so we put it together and we say typography. Ty, pa, ra, fee. Typography. Now, we are going to watch a quick video to learn a little bit more about what exactly this thing called typography is.
Typography. It's everywhere we look. In the books we read, on the websites we visit, even in everyday life, on street signs, bumper stickers, and product packaging. Simply put, typography is the style or appearance of text. It can also refer to the art of working with text, something you probably do all the time if you create documents or other projects for work, school, or yourself. Typography can be an intimidating subject, but it doesn't have to be. You only need to know a little to make a big difference in the stuff you do every day. So let's get started. First, some common types of fonts and what you need to know about them. Serif fonts have little strokes called serifs attached to the main part of the letter. Because of their classic look, they're a good choice for more traditional projects. They're also common in print publications, like magazines and newspapers. Sans serif fonts don't have that extra stroke, hence the name, which is French for without serif. This style is considered more clean and modern than serif fonts. Also, it tends to be easier to read on computer screens, including smartphones and tablets. Display fonts come in many different styles, like script, black letter, all caps, and just plain fancy. Because of their decorative nature, display fonts are best for small amounts of text. For example, titles and headers, and more graphic-heavy designs. In a way, fonts have their own language. They all have something to say beyond the words on the page. They can come across as casual or neutral, exotic or graphic. That's why it's important to think about your message and pick a font that fits. Some fonts come with extra baggage, like Comic Sans, Curls, Papyrus, and many more. There's nothing particularly wrong with these fonts. They just have a certain reputation for being outdated and overused. If you find yourself tempted by them, think twice and consider using something else. There are many fonts with a similar look and feel that are less likely to detract from your message. When deciding which fonts to use, less is more. It's best to limit yourself to 1 or 2 per project. If you need more contrast, try repeating one of your fonts in a different size, weight, or style. This trick is practically foolproof for creating interesting combinations that work. You've probably heard the saying, opposites attract. Well, the same is true for fonts. Don't be afraid to combine font styles that are different but complementary, like sans serif with serif, short with tall, or decorative with simple. This can be challenging at first, but don't despair. Look to other designs for inspiration, and soon you'll get the hang of it. Maybe you've heard terms like kerning, leading, tracking, and hierarchy. For those with more experience, these concepts are essential for creating professional-looking designs. As a beginner, you don't need to know everything about these terms, just enough to inform your work and help you talk about design with more confidence. Hierarchy is used to guide the reader's eye to whatever is most important. In other words, it shows them where to begin and where to go next, using different levels of emphasis. Establishing hierarchy is simple. Just decide which elements you want the reader to notice first, then make them stand out. High-level items are usually larger, bolder, or different in some way. Remember to keep it simple and stick to just a few complementary styles. Leading is the space between lines of text, also known as line spacing. If you're not sure how much line spacing to use, don't fret. The default is usually fine. The goal is to make your text as comfortable to read as possible. Too much or too little spacing can make things unpleasant for the reader. Tracking is the overall space between characters, sometimes called character spacing. Most programs let you condense or expand this depending on your needs. In some designs, you might adjust your tracking to create a certain artistic effect. It can also help you fix fonts that are poorly spaced to begin with. Kerning is the space between specific characters. Unlike tracking, it varies over the course of the word because each letter fits together differently. Some fonts have what we call bad kerning, making certain letters look improperly spaced. If a font you're using has bad kerning, it's best to cut your losses and choose something else. Well-crafted text can mean the difference between an ordinary project and an extraordinary project, even if you're just getting started with design. All it takes is an interest in typography, and you'll start to notice more, see more, and be able to do more in your own work. We hope you enjoyed learning the basics of typography. Check out the rest of our design topics, including color, images, and composition.
All right. Now that we know a little bit more about typography, let's continue with our lesson. So, as the video talked about common fonts, there are 2 types of common fonts that you are going to see as we continue working on our activities in this class. We have serif fonts and sans serif fonts. So again, remember, all that we're learning now is going to lead us to our food truck activity. And again, as the video said, the fonts you use, they have a message. So your words have a message. So it's going to be important that you choose the right types of fonts. So a serif font has little strokes attached to the main part of the letter. Again, remember in the video, it talked about the feet, okay, along the letters. So this is a serif font. The second type of common font that was discussed in the video is a sans serif font. This means without serif or those extra little strokes that we found on the serif font. So if you notice, observe the letters do not have those little feet, okay? So this is what you would consider a sans serif font. Now, I want you to take a moment and I want you to look at the sentence and tell me this sentence was typed using what kind of font. So on your computers right now, I want you to choose which one. What do you think the answer is? Is it a serif font or is it a sans serif font? Raise your hand. What do you think? What did you choose? All right, you think it's a sans serif font, and why do you think it's a sans serif font? Because it doesn't have any feet. That is correct. Very good. How many of you got that answer correct? Awesome sauce. Very good. Very good. All right, let's move on. So again, typography has to do with the different fonts, the way the font looks. And we also know from the video that fonts come in different styles, such as capital letters, which helps communicate your message. So again, look at congratulations and the way it looks. Baskerville, robot. Many of you have a tendency when you're typing things, you have a specific font that you like to type in because of the way it looks. It makes you feel happy, or it helps deliver the message that you're trying to convey with the text that you typed, okay? All right, it's almost like choosing that right emoji to demonstrate how you're feeling. The same could be said with typography. All right, so you have an activity. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to work on at your seat, okay? This activity is a matching activity. So it says match the correct pairs. So you have pairs and I want you to go through and I want you to match up. It's okay if you don't get them all correct because we're still in the process of learning. This is just a check for understanding, just to find out if things are connecting, okay? So remember, serif fonts are the fonts that have those little feet. Sans serif fonts do not have feet. Okay, those little strokes that we talked about. All right, you're going to have 5 minutes, or you know what? I think I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to work on this activity. Okay, and as soon as you are finished, you can give me a thumbs up to let me know that you're finished and then sit quietly at your seat. All right, now that you've had an opportunity to practice, we have another activity for you to work on. So in this activity, I want you to draw or use the text feature to write your name using a serif font. Now, you got to think, what did we say was unique about a serif font? Can you tell me, Jimmy? That is correct. Serif fonts have feet. So if you see a font that has anything sticking off the end of it, it is considered a serif font. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you another 10 minutes to come up with this activity. I'm going to walk around the classroom and take a look at your drawings. Okay. Any questions? All right. And that brings us to, we're getting ready to wrap up our activity. Now, of course, this activity is one that you will have some additional practice. Don't think that you're not going to see this again. Okay, this was just an introduction so that you begin to recognize and identify the different fonts that you're going to use. So for our final practice, okay, our final activity, you are going to go to the website LingoJam to type your name using the following. So I want you to play around. I want you to be creative. This is your opportunity to show me, one, if you can identify the different fonts, and then two, How creative can you be with your name? All right, so you're going to type your name. I want you to choose a serif font. I want you to type your name using a sans serif font. And then the third one, you're going to use a font of your choice. So I want you to go in and I want you to choose the font that you think conveys who you are as a person. Okay. Now, for the first two bullets, because we always want to make sure we kind of, are able to explain why we made certain decisions, I want you to explain why the fonts that you have chosen fit into the serif and the sans serif font categories. Now, you got to justify, you got to tell me why those fonts that you've chosen fit that category. Okay. For the last bullet, I want you to explain why you chose that specific font style. Okay. I want you to make sure you write in, okay, your complete thoughts and ideas. And again, just tell me, why did you make those choices? I just want to know, what was your thinking behind the serif font, the sans serif font, and then the font of your choice. Okay. Can I answer any questions? Anyone have any questions? All right, guys, I am going to give you a total of 15 minutes to work on this. And by that time, class will be ending. So we're going to work to the bell. All right, if you have no other questions, you may begin on your final activity for today. All right.